Okay, it's 9:30, so good morning everyone and welcome to UBC Talks webinar with the topic Transition to Circular Economy in UBC Cities. You might already be familiar with the concept of our webinars organized by UBC Sustainable Cities Commission. This is the third webinar this year and there will be one more on 30th of November. My name is Anna-Lilia and I work as a project coordinator at the Union of the Baltic Cities Sustainable Cities Commission. Here with me today is also my colleague Maria Andreeva. We will be taking care of the technical side of the webinar, so a couple words from that side to begin with. Let's start with some practical information. The webinar is being recorded and will be uploaded on our website and YouTube channel. Your microphones are all muted, but if you at any time wish to ask questions, you can do so in the question box, which you can find at the bottom of the control panel. The questions will be answered in the Q&A session after the presentation, and then you will also have a chance to ask questions directly to our panelists. Today, we will open with our moderator, Mr. Per-Arne Nilsson, and hear how our network encourages cities towards the circular economy. Then we will move to hear concrete examples from UBC cities. We will hear how the cities of Lahti, Riga, and Turku are implementing circular economy actions in their cities. We will conclude today's webinar with questions and answer session, where our speakers will be happy to answer to your questions. But now, let's move on to the topic of the webinar itself. Our moderator and first speaker today comes from the city of Malmö, Sweden. He is the Senior Environmental Strategist and co-chair of the Sustainable Cities Commission. Welcome, Mr. Per-Arne Nilsson. The floor is yours.
Very welcome to this webinar about circular cities together towards resource-efficient cities. And I think this is a very interesting topic with a lot of possibilities and challenges for cities in the Baltic area. And as Anna said, this is arranged by the Union of Baltic Cities and the Commission for Sustainable Cities in the Union. I'm one of the co-chairs in this commission, and as you can see, we have a new program for sustainability until 2030. And this consists of 5 topics where we today will talk about circular economy. And these topics towards resource-efficient cities is, of course, a very important topic, and cities have a significant role in advancing the transition to resource-efficient policies and circular economy in our region, but also take a leading role in Europe and internationally in these issues. We work a lot together with ICLEI, for example, and also we have the European Circular Cities Declaration that is leading the development in this area. And it's also closely related to several sustainable development goals in the United Nations systems. UBC cities have implemented resource-efficient principles with a strategic approach to sustainable public procurement as one of the main activities. We are also having a proactive approach to enable an operating environment for circular economy by removing barriers of an international material flow. We have different rules in different countries and cities still. So there's some activity to do in that. We also will try to develop implementing holistic strategies and roadmaps for circular economy, including cooperation plans and hierarchies for actions, and promote regional-wide policies and a common line of action. And then it's important to addressing the barriers to the regional use of resources by promoting cross-border cooperation in waste materials, for example, and also treatment of waste. And we try to commit to adopt circular economy supporting principles in all our activities in our Baltic cities. And last, actively reinforcing knowledge and distributing know-how in the region by joint training and close collaborations. And we can see there's a lot of possibilities to this in the year to come. If you, for example, looking at the Interreg programs and such. And then I want to introduce the first speaker, Mrs. Satu Virtanen. You're a circular economy specialist in the European Green Capital Lahti. Please, the floor is yours.
My name is Satu Virtanen, and I work as a circular economy specialist in the city of Lahti in the Department of Land Use. And this role of a circular economy specialist was established last month, so I'm very new in our organization. Of course, there are also many other working with this theme in the city of Lahti, and one of my colleagues, environmental coordinator Niina Ruuska, is also online on this webinar. In my presentation, I will first tell about Green Capital Award, its benefits, and why Lahti was chosen as the European Green Capital for 2021 by the European Commission. Then I will pull together Lahti's long-term work and leadership in many environmental issues. And of course, we still have a lot to do, so I will also tell about the next goals and circular economy actions. The European Green Capital Award is a competition for European cities, and it's organized by the European Commission. The competition is evaluated using 12 different indicators, which you can see here on the right side. The title is every year granted to one city that is a pioneer in environmental activities and who sets an example for other cities and who develops new solutions for environmental challenges. Well, Lahti did very well in the comparison, although we are the smallest city ever selected as the European Green Capital. In the technical assessment, Lahti received good points in general, and we got the best points in air quality, waste, green growth, and eco-innovation, as well as governance. Our weakest point was sustainable land use, which is one of our development targets and one thing we need to focus on in the future. 11 European cities have received the title before Lahti did. The status of the Green Capital is designed to raise awareness and set best practice on environmental issues in Europe. The positive effects of the Green Capital Year will be reflected far in the future in the business life and tourism, as well as the overall development of the city area. Especially, the title promotes all key goals of Lahti. The European Commission has chosen the Estonian capital Tallinn as the European Green Capital for 2023, and the announcement was made here in Lahti about 3 weeks ago. On this slide, you can see Lahti's the most important environmental actions on the timeline. Lahti is located by the Lake Vesijärvi, which is one of the worst polluted lakes in Finland because of an era of rapid growth in wood industry and urbanization. And actually, the start of Lahti becoming the green capital started with the restoration of that Lake Vesijärvi in the 1970s. Cleaning up the badly polluted lake created a foundation for the environmental expertise and research in Lahti. And since then, over the years, the city has had many achievements that have brought us closer to a carbon neutral city, which is our great goal. 3 years ago, 2019, Lahti took a big step when our coal-fired power plant was closed down. Abandoning coal was one of the concrete measures that Lahti was taking as a European environmental city. Our waste management system is based on a source separation, and Lahti is now heated with that recycled fuel collected from households, and also with certified wood, which is logging residue chips and byproduct of the forest industry. Then to our ambitious goals for coming years. Lahti has a shared vision of a bold green city, and the themes for this Green Capital Year have been carbon neutral life, participation, circular economy, and nature and water. In the years to come, the focus is on controlling traffic emissions, improving the energy efficiency of buildings, and circular economy solutions. Lahti's main environmental goals are to cut greenhouse gas emissions, have zero waste circular economy by 2050, protect nature and surface water and groundwater areas, also encourage people to use sustainable modes of transport like walking, cycling, public transfers, and so on. And one goal is also become carbon neutral by 2025, which is 10 years ahead of Finland's national target and even 25 years ahead of the EU vision. And here are the latest steps to promote the circular economy in Lahti. Urban Environment Circular Economy Development Programme was published in 2019, and it's focused on circular economy related to land use and construction. The regional circular economy roadmap is also updated to interactive format. In autumn 2020, Lahti established a development center for carbon neutral construction. It links together city, companies, and research activities. The center provides a platform for the planning and testing of innovations relating to carbon neutral construction, and also sustainable development and the circular economy. Last fall, Lahti joined the bio-waste collection pilot for single-family housing areas. The aim is to test and develop waste management services for the separate collection and utilization of bio-waste throughout the city in the future. Also, a recycling park is planned for more efficient regional recycling of different waste streams. Lahti is also collaborate with a local university and polytechnic, and our university offers circular economy master education and environmental engineering education. Lahti's Urban Environment Circular Economy Development Programme states that circular economy must be taken into account in all construction processes. The development program is based on 3 main points, which are coordination and utilization of land masses, the promotion of the circular economy in all land use planning, and reuse of demolition materials. The main targets of the development program are reducing landmass excavation, reducing emissions, promoting the reuse and recycling, and also ensuring sustainable final placement of low quality soils. Here on the right side are some of the things we will need to support our work, like an early stage mass coordination, temporary storage areas, and also information system for masses and mass coordination. In addition to the development program done 3 years ago, the circular economy roadmap of the city of Lahti is being prepared at the moment. The purpose of the roadmap is to describe the city measures to promote circular economy. It offers recommendations on the next steps for us. The roadmap is prepared in collaboration with the city service areas and different departments, which are, for example, construction, property management, and waste management, and so on. The roadmap describes the city's circular economy actions, but at the same time, it invites companies, communities, and all Lahti residents to a partnership. Then, last but not least, this slide shows only some of our events, but the Green Capital Year 2021 has brought us a program of events and new things to experience, as well as opportunities for the partners. For example, next month will be held EU Week of Regions and Cities, where in the workshop Lahti will present its own specific case example about the transition towards carbon neutrality. By the way, the registration for the event next month is open, so I encourage you to attend. So here was my presentation from the Green Capital City. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Satu. Very interesting to hear. I hope it's possible to come to Lahti and see all the wonderful work you do sometimes. We continue with the next speaker who came from Riga, and I give the floor to Ieva Kalniņa, who is project coordinator in the city of Riga. Please.
Hello, it's a pleasure to be here, and I'm really thankful for having me here and to share our experience in Riga. Actually, I was really happy to listen to Satu's presentation because it really, there are so many similarities, what we are planning, what you have already done. So that's like, maybe there are some signs that we are going to the right direction. So I would be first who would like to visit your city and to see how you are doing. Okay, I'll try to share my presentation. As said before, my name is Ieva Kalniņa and I represent Riga Energy Agency, and I'm a project manager of the project URGE, Circular Building Cities. And I want to note that Riga is actually a newcomer in the field of circular economy. They may have been some activities related to circular economy or some uncoordinated activities, unplanned, like systematically planned. But with this project, which I represent, this is the first time when in Riga we address circular economy topic in a systematic way. And that's why I would like to say that Riga is an ambitious newcomer in this field, because we are planning to go further, not to stop with the construction sector. And we are really proud that earlier this year, we signed a Paris Climate Initiative called Cities Leading the Way to Climate Neutrality. We are really proud of. So we all know that there can't be any climate neutrality without circular economy. I think all participants know that, and I don't have to explain that further. So my story will be mainly about what we are planning and what we are already doing with this project, because we take it seriously, I could say so. This project is financed by the UBC program, and we all 9 partners in this project, we are an action planning network. What does it mean? That means that we inspire from each other, we'll learn from each other, and we develop an integrated action plan for each city, how to introduce circular economy principles in the construction sector. And what kind of lessons we have learned so far? First of all, there are some stepping stones we can't avoid and we have to take into account. The first of all, that's awareness raising, because you can't make people do something to follow some principles if they don't know why it's needed, why it's so important. So as soon as they understand that there's a necessity and why it's so important, they're ready to learn more about it. And we are working on spreading the knowledge across specialists as well. And when you know what to do, when you are ready to know, you start to try out to make some practice and piloting. And if the practitioner is a municipality, it's more likely that the regulations will adapt accordingly and infrastructure will develop and grow. So as soon as the system develops, more and more practitioners will come into the play, and the system will grow. That's our vision, how we have to go with this direction. So starting with awareness, knowledge, and then practicing and developing all the system together and step by step. And we have proved that already, because we are planning this action plan, and now we are already just started the 3rd and the last year of the project. So this action plan is not really ready, but we already know what exactly we want to do. Maybe there will be some changes, but in general, it will be like this. And some of the actions we have already implemented, or it's in progress. And what have we done? First of all, we tried to introduce a new standard. Yes, in the slide before I said you don't have to start with the systematic approach, like with the system changes or something like that, but we started exactly with this. But we stopped that because we understood that this standard is not needed really. It was related to producing concrete out of secondary material aggregates. But we learned that existing standards, they don't really support that, but they don't ban it, they don't limit it. But this new standard, which we wanted to introduce from Germany, it could put unnecessary limitations. So that's why you have to try before you make some changes. That was what we learned. Then we found that the European Commission has developed guidelines within the framework of levels, circular economy principles for building designs. We understood that we need that in Latvian because it's not in Latvian. And we obtained permission to translate these guidelines in Latvian and to complement them with specific examples, what is possible to do now in the existing situation, in the existing regulatory framework in Latvia for all 7 target groups related to construction sector. So everyone will see what exactly I can do in my daily routines, in my professional life, how to implement circularity in my work. These guidelines are in progress now, and they will be ready in spring. So then we can spread it around, but in Latvian. And then we had a temporary construction material exchange point this summer, and it turned out that it was really valuable for our citizens, and they wish to see that as a permanent activity. And this wouldn't be then just a material exchange point, but it would be supplemented with repair services or free desks where you can bring your item and repair it by yourself, workshops, seminars, and tool rent and other activities around it. So people really would like to see that in our city, in several places over the city. Then we are working with specialists. As in previous presentation, we saw that there is a study program in the university. We approached the 2 biggest universities, which is University of Latvia and Riga Technical University. They are in our working group as well. And already it's a 3rd semester that we are visiting them with guest lectures, and by the inspiration of the project URGE in the University of Latvia, now there are some study programs which include circular economy as well. So now architects, special planners, engineers, they have the possibility to learn about circular economy. But that's about new specialists. We have to work with existing ones as well, because you can't have circular building if you don't have specialists who know how to implement that. So when those guidelines I mentioned before will be ready, we will go to the professionals associations so to talk about the possibility to develop their professional development courses or lifelong learning programs with circular economy topics. And then, as I said before, I have plenty of ideas what else could be done in the city, and I'm putting it all together in a form of political recommendations. What else could be done in the city? And this list of recommendations will be discussed with councillors and respective departments in the municipality. So let's see what else we can do about it. So these are ongoing activities, what we are doing now, and while the project is ongoing, but after the project, what are the next steps? If the previous activities were more related to spreading the word and knowledge, then next actions will be related to piloting. We are committed to 3 circular construction projects, like pilot projects, which is demolition, renovation, and construction. And for that, we need to develop procurement documentation. I don't know, is that in your cities as well, but we struggle a bit when it comes to green procurement. But when it comes to circular green procurement, it can be even more challenging. I know that there are many projects around that, but you have to develop your own documentation. So it's a real separate action. But we have some partners in the working group that they are ready to support us. So I'm sure we will deal with that. And after this piloting, we will decide on necessary incentives or adoptions in the regulatory framework on local level, I mean, because after you try to do something, you know where the pain points are, where you need to support or where you need to put some restrictions or something like that to change something to adopt. So then we will have this agreement on necessary changes. And the last action, it really relates with something I saw in the previous presentation. You have circular economy, carbon neutral construction development center or something like that. So I see that this action is something similar to that. We haven't agreed yet in what kind of form it will be, like from administrative point of view, but the main objective of this action is to continue with circular economy developments with policies, infrastructure, new piloting, citizens involvement, spreading the knowledge, awareness raising, everything around that, just to continue and to develop it further and go broader, like not only in the construction sector, but in other sectors as well. So not to stop here. But actually about all this circular economy, transition to circular economy, I always remember what the Dutch architect Thomas Rouse said. He was talking about circular economy. In this sentence, he says sustainability, but actually he was talking about the circular economy, and he says that it is nothing about certification, green labeling systems, and nothing about that, but it's really about the attitude towards everything, what makes our life possible on the planet. And he says it's very simple. So I wish all the success to all of us in this way to transition to circular economy, but just to remember that should be really simple, and we have to be grown-ups and think wisely about the resources we have and be grateful for everything we have and treat this as a treasure, because what is on the planet, there will be nothing more. Maybe sun will be shining still, but all the resources on the ground, that's all we have. So it's very simple. Let's be wise and have a good attitude. Thank you. This is all from me. And I'm ready to answer any questions if there will be after all the presentations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ieva. It was very good advice, I think, to keep it simple. I like that as well, not to complicate things more than they are. And I think also there's a lot of possibilities in that to work on a local level as well with circular economy that could benefit a lot for new ideas and new innovations, but also a lot of new jobs, for example. So maybe that's where the most of the green jobs is in the future as well in circular economy.
For sure.
Yes, let's continue our journey around the Baltic Sea and go to Turku. And I give the floor to Niina Ruuska, in project manager in the city of Turku, to say something about how you're kickstarting the circular economy transition in your city.
Thank you. I'll start sharing my screen here, and it's really nice to be here. So I'm about to tell about how we have been kickstarting the circular economy in Turku. There has been a lot going on during the years. I only jumped into our circularity train this summer, but Turku has been working with this issue from the 2015 at least. At the moment, we are in the third phase of the project Circular Turku, and here are the partners you can see in the logos: Valonia and ICLEI, and also the University Finland Futures Research Center, and did I mention Sitra, also the main funder of our project. Okay, so not sure if the slide is changing. Yes, okay. So very quickly, some Turku facts for those who haven't yet visited us. We are the former capital of Finland and the oldest city, a mid-sized European city with close to 200,000 residents, and we have 40,000 students because we have multiple universities here, and also we are a city of culture. And if you haven't visited us, please do, because we really have the most beautiful archipelago in the world and a rich natural environment. So welcome. And for Ieva, I'd like to say that I'm planning a trip to Riga. I have been planning it for many summers, but couldn't do it yet. But maybe next summer I will. Really looking forward to see the beautiful city.
You're really welcome.
Thank you. Okay, third slide. Our objective in Turku, we have a very ambitious climate goal. We try to be carbon neutral in 2029 and climate neutral, climate positive after that. So, and we are quite well on the way at the moment, but of course a lot to do still. For the resource wisdom, we also have a goal which is set to 2040, but preferably earlier. We are doing a lot of work for that also. And this means that we want to produce no waste and no emissions, and the use of the natural resources would be sustainable. Also, there's a small ball, the highest one, which mentions the biodiversity. This is one big issue that we are at the moment putting on a frame and giving a lot of emphasis on this too, but I'll tell more about it later. So Turku is an international pioneer in sustainable development and circular economy. I think we can say that. We, as I mentioned, started in 2015 when the first, the preliminary roadmap for resource wisdom was produced. And also by 2017, we conducted an analysis of material flows in the southwestern Finland region. So we have quite a lot of knowledge on how the material circulation can be advanced. Also, we have invested in clean energy sources a lot, and that makes for the business actors, for example, they can easily do their businesses here and be climate neutral and resource-wise at the same time. That's how we help them. And also, we have to strengthen our carbon sinks. That's vital, and we have quite a lot of means for that also. For example, our new forest management plan, which favors the management in where we don't log that much trees. We have decreased the amount of logging as planned before, and also we don't do open logs, but we leave the trees up, so the environment would. I mean, it's more. Sorry, it's nicer for the recreation purposes also, but also for the biodiversity, of course. Well, to make the systematic transition towards circular economy, we have seen that the key is the regional cooperation. The city doesn't do things alone. We don't even think the things alone. We have prepared the regional roadmap in a very vast collaboration. And it started in 2019, and over 200 experts from businesses and education, research, and public administration has been involved from the whole region. And now I think we are in a nice phase when we have the roadmap planned, and now we start to do the action. Of course, a lot of things have been already going on in our region. So that's also a very good starting point and kickstart point for the future work. Well, as a result of this cooperation and also the analysis that we carried out with the Circular Turku project steering group, we have chosen 5 priority topics, which are the energy systems and food value chains, water cycles, transport and logistics, and then buildings and constructions. And these topics are the ones that have the high potential to promote the systemic shift towards circular economy in our region. Also, for each of these topics, we have identified like 20 interventions that have the potential to speed up the transition. But yes, from this identification to action, how do we put the roadmap into action? In this phase that we are in the project at the moment, in practice, we are going to, together with the stakeholders, we are unpacking these interventions, and we are identifying the responsibilities and roles of each intervention, that who is the best or who is the most efficient or who is the most ready actor in our region to put the work forward. And that we do together in cooperation. A little about the role of the city. I also noticed that in Eva's presentation, you had very nicely described what's the city role, and I think we are very much in line with your ideas. So we can, of course, coordinate and activate and motivate all the actors in our region and produce the collaboration platform, kind of. But also the urban planning and infrastructure, that's what we do, and we can steer and support doing that well. And also economic incentives like public procurements, of course, that's one way we already use quite efficiently. And as Eva asked that, how do we do it? We have just, was it last week, we heard a good presentation from the strategic procurement department, and they explained that they are producing a strategy where they have, of course, multiple criteria sets, but one is the kind of ecological criteria, which includes climate and circularity and biodiversity. It's not an easy job, but first the most strategically important, the ones that have the most impact will be identified, and then the focus is put on that. It's not like everything is thought at the same time, but the ones with the most impact, they will be also unpacked and thought about the criteria in detail. And I think this will be, and I wish this will be done in vast collaboration too. So because it's not an easy job, as Ieva also put it. Well, so also the informing and education is something that we see is very important, and it's also the city's work to do that. So we have to make the knowledge basis of the circular economy much stronger, not only among the stakeholders, the partners and the actors, but also within the city. I mean, everyone who does like public procurement or anyone who works in the city, I think, needs to have the basic knowledge, at least how does his or her work link to the circularity. It's not an easy job either, but I'm sure it will be done. Okay, and after we have identified the roles and responsibilities, how to move forward and do some concrete actions, we aim to identify and, when possible, even initiate new pilots during this third phase, which will last 1 year. So next autumn, we will have the results, how many pilots we actually identified or even initiated. We want to cover each of the 5 priority topics and produce as many pilots as possible to have the concrete impact. And also, the circular Turku roadmap and the transition has to be inclusive, and it has to benefit all the citizens. So that's what we are focusing a lot in each intervention. And another cross-cutting theme, as I mentioned, we put great emphasis on at the moment is the biodiversity protection or enhancement, if possible. This biodiversity is now beginning to be in everyone's talks. I mean, it's raising up now. It's even a more severe problem in the world than the climate change. A mother of all crises. I've sometimes heard someone referring it to that way. And because of this, we know we have to think about these problems, the issues like climate change and biodiversity protection and resource depletion in the same package. And that's what we are doing in this project phase 2, because the city is drawing the biodiversity protection action plan at the moment, and we have already noticed that there are many links with the circularity work and also the climate work. So we support the synergies between these issues, and especially the nature-based solutions are one way to tackle all these problems and even enhance the biodiversity. And least but not last, the global and local partnership, as what we are doing today also in here, UBC Talks. This is one big thing we focus on this project, of course, and such as like peer-to-peer learnings, a very important way to disseminate our learnings and learn more from others. And with our partner ICLEI, we are about to publish an English version, so to say, from the roadmap. And I hope you will all see it when it comes out, maybe in October or November. For the final slide, I realize my time is about ending. Well, it depicts the policy documents that are aligned with the roadmap and also biodiversity protection, of course. There are many, and here we find the links to our work. And also the new mayor's program that we have at the moment, it includes resource wisdom very strongly, also the transition towards circularity and the biodiversity protection. So that's, if it's outlined there, then it has a strong meaning for us as a city to keep up the good work. And we within the city, we realized that we need very strong cooperation between different departments. That's vital also. And also in order to meet all these goals, it's resource-wise to do things together, even within the city. That's my final statement here. And thank you for listening, and feel free to ask questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Niina. Very interesting to hear. Just a remark about leadership and your international position. I know that your mayor, Minna Arve, she's vice mayor in ICLEI, and she's responsible for circular economy in ICLEI. And my mayor is responsible for procurement and also vice mayor in ICLEI. So I think we have a quite strong international position in the Baltic cities as well when it comes to circular economy. And I think that's very interesting. That maybe will do that we will be one of the most resource-wise regions in the world if we want to take that position for the future. So that gives a lot of possibilities, I think. But I also think that if we want to take that kind of positions, we maybe need even more cooperation between the cities around the Baltic area as well. So that's maybe one of our important aims for the future as well. And it's very nice to see that Tallinn is now the next, or the 2024 European Green Capital. So it continue with activities around the Baltic. Yes, now we have time for questions and answers. So please, if you have any questions, we will see if the presentations could give the answers to them.
We could start with a poll for the audience so we can hear you too. So we have prepared a couple of polls which you can answer. We launch them now. So here, does your city have a roadmap for circular economy? Yes, no, I don't know, and you can vote now. And also our speakers and moderator can vote as well. And let's see results. So yes, quite many said yes, they have, no, only one, and I don't know, 2 participants. So would our panelists want to share, does your city have a roadmap for circular economy?
Maybe I can try to answer. As I said in the presentation, it's not a roadmap. It will be an action plan, but it's in under the development. So it's in progress. We will have an action plan. We have a roadmap how to develop this action plan, but not a roadmap for circular economy.
Maybe I'll continue. We have produced a roadmap, but actually it hasn't yet been approved in the city board. So that's one step forward. And then, but of course, many actions, because they have been, the roadmap has been produced on top of the cooperation with the regional actors. That many things are already happening, and implementation is on the way anyway.
And our roadmap is being prepared at the moment also.
It would also be interesting to hear about Malmö.
Yes, we also have a roadmap. I couldn't vote, I noticed, but but we have a roadmap. We also have some special roadmaps, for example, for the construction, a very big partnership with construction business in the city of Malmö for climate neutral construction and building. And there's a lot of interest in taking part in that. I think we have 200 companies or something engaged in that activity.
Thank you. Then there is another question which we can launch now. So which topics are important for your city to focus on in the nearest future? You can select a multiple choice. Thank you. So land use, construction, procurements rise also, but construction was the biggest. How does our panelists think about this? Do you agree that construction, land use, procurements and energy efficiency has the most impact? We can start with Ieva maybe again.
Okay. Yes, I agree, but I would stress out urban mobility as well. The use of water could be an issue. Waste management. I would add to construction, energy efficiency and procurement.
How about Niina?
I would say that the urban mobility is one of the main things, at least in the climate work in our city. The energy efficiency, we have done so much for that, so we are on the good track. So I don't think it's anymore it was previously, but not anymore the main topic. So in other sense, we have very much in line with the poll, like land use and procurement. Yes. Yes.
And Satu?
Well, our weakest point is land use, and that is one we will focus on. And of course, one goal is also become carbon neutral by 2025. So our goals are, biggest goal is cut greenhouse gas. I think that is the thing we will focus on.
And what's the situation in Malmö?
Well, I agree with Satu that we have a lot of focus on the climate goals at the moment, but to reach the climate goals, it goes through circular economy, you could say. We have to work even more with circular economy to reach the climate goals, and that include a lot of these issues of waste management, food change, for example, and energy efficiency and urban mobility. But we also have a focus on green growth, you could say, to find new jobs in this. So that's an example we have from Malmö is we have a new a big investment in a facility for reusing textiles that couldn't be reused as we reuse the fibers in them. So that's like that could be a beginning for a new kind of textile industry, for example, to do this. So that's one example from us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So let's move on to the questions. We have had a couple. So let's start with barriers and challenges. So what are the main barriers or challenges on the path to this transition, and how to overcome these challenges? Should we change the answer, and could maybe Satu take the first turn this time?
Well, I think it's important that we agree that these everyday business and business as usual, what we do now, can't be like this in the future. We can't do business as linear. So it's a challenge that we get agreement about this. It's a cultural issue, I think.
Thank you, Satu. How about Niina? How do you feel about the challenges?
I think the biggest challenge is the time. I mean, the running out of time, kind of, because as Satu said, that even if we have done quite a lot of collaboration and everyone, all the regional actors of circularity are on the top of the knowledge, they know where we are, and during this ongoing phase, this is going to be strengthened even, but still to take it into action, it's slow sometimes. Things don't happen so quickly, but still I'm very optimistic, because it seems that everyone at least have the attitude that Ieva said, that's the important. It seems that in Turku it's easy to make an unanimous, how do you say, everyone agrees the decision making and action. So, but yeah, we have to be quick.
Thank you, Niina. I agree. Then Ieva.
Actually, I'm a bit jealous, because in Riga, these traditions are, we are used to linear model. It's a bit stronger habit to do as usual, to do things as usual. So to break it and to make it possible and enable this infrastructure for circularity, because you can't do if you don't have any possibilities like this construction material exchange point. People were so happy. Finally, we have a place where to put something, to take somewhere. I was so worried about my materials. I have to just dump them out or something like that. So you have to enable them, and you have to change those habits. But I don't remember, Niina said, I guess, that energy efficiency is not a question anymore. It's a past, but it's a today's task for us still. So that's why I feel that this awareness raising is really crucial to hasten those all those activities and to make people follow new situation.
Thank you. How about Malmö, Per-Arne? What are the greatest challenges or barriers?
So, well, I can give two examples from Malmö and maybe from Sweden as well. That is a lot of discussions about nowadays. One is the use of concrete. We have a big concrete facility making cement on Gotland, for example. That is a big discussion nowadays, and that's one of, I think that's the single largest carbon dioxide polluter in Sweden as well. But we realized that in the future maybe we should use other kind of materials than concrete, wood, for example, but also maybe, as you was talking about, Leva, reusing old concrete and things like that. So I think that's a big challenge. Then another challenge is plastics, how to reuse plastics, or because if you look at the we have a combustion plant for burning waste in Malmö that makes a lot of climate impact, and the plastic is a big part of that. So that's one of our challenges. Maybe we need to have carbon capture to fix that, but in the long run, it's not, maybe not a good solution. We need other kind of solutions as well. So that's two examples from my city. Thank you.
Ieva, please.
I just wanted to add that price is an issue as well. circular materials, circular lifestyle should be less costly than linear one, but now it's vice versa. So how to boost circular economy if it's costly? Let's say so.
Exactly. Now I would like to remind you all that you can still ask questions from our panelists, and let's see our Q&A. You can find the Q&A button at the control panel, and here's some questions for you. So we have anonymous attendee asking, what about legislation related changes? Have these been adopted in your city or are changes underway? Per-Arne, would you take first turn?
Well, there is always discussion about legislation and how to I have not any actual good example at the moment that I can think of, so I pass the word to somebody else, I think.
Would Satu like to take the next turn?
Well, the legislative work is going on in Finland, actually, and we're very much looking forward to it. It's aimed to kind of promote the utilization of construction surplus land, solid waste and other circular economy benefits. So it's going on.
Thank you. How about Turku and Niina?
Yes, I would also have mentioned the waste legislation, which has a very big impact on the way we can use certain materials, especially the construction, as Satu mentioned. But I'm sure that there are some other type of waste also that would. But I don't actually know more. Other examples. I was thinking about something about the runoff waters, but no, I don't think that. No, I say waste management. That's also one. Yes.
Thank you. And Ieva.
Yes, I could agree that the waste management system, that's one of those points which is developing according to all new regulations, and it is as sustainable as possible. Of course, a lot of work is ahead, but still that would be one point which is changing. But related, like from the circular economy point of view, what we have seen, what should be changed, no specific changes have been made, like directly from our conclusions. That's like in closest future we are up to, but nothing specific yet. There is one idea which comes from Munich, from Germany. You know that when you tear down the building after the demolition, all the materials we call waste. It's directly waste when you demolish the building. But they changed this paradigm of thinking, and they changed in Munich. They defined that everything what comes from the demolished building is resource, is a material. Material is not only those materials, those items which you can't use, and there is no one who would like to take it. So then that's waste. And that really enables this secondary use of materials, because you don't have to go through all that process when it comes from waste to the resource again. So it's already a resource. That's one change of thinking what could be done, but it's still under the discussions and nothing specific yet.
Thank you. Really good answer. And this is a lot about a change of thinking. And some examples we would like to hear for that. How about Ieva was talking about knowledge raising. Does your city have any inspiring examples of some changing campaigns for the citizen, for example, or raising awareness?
For citizens, actually, I would say the only activity from this project was this construction material exchange point. And the communication went through the housing management company, which has 100,000 customers. So we communicated through them, and then we talk about it in the radio station, national radio, and people were really interested in that. But no other programs apart from that has been done. Only those university and some companies are asking to come and talk about that with their stuff, just to like to know more about, to learn more about circular economy. And actually what's interesting, each company has their own motivation. Why do they need that? It's not like they are willing to save the planet, but they have their own specific interest why they are ready to participate in this circular economy actions. So that's really interesting as well, to touch each motivation why you should be one of our community.
Really good points. How about other cities? Do you have any examples for engagement campaigns? We can start with Niina.
Thanks. Yeah, we actually have, and I'm really proud of this. We have this 1.5 degree lifestyle campaign. It's I think it's kind of mainly about the climate and how to mitigate the emissions, but also the circularity. And my one favorite examples in this is that we promote the library, and the city has a campaign that says that please don't buy, just loan things from the library. Not only books, libraries also have other things for loan. I don't actually know very well because I loan books. That's why I love libraries. But anyway, that's one nice example. And there's also one with the waste management company. They actually have given bio-waste bags for the residents to improve the amount of bio-waste in. Yeah. But that's one, I think. But also I have noticed that we should have in our education department or services, we should have some spearhead kind of projects to educate people in the circularity. I think that's something to look forward.
Thank you. Really good examples. And how about Satu and Lahti?
Yeah, this Green Capital Year 2021 has brought us many events and new things to experience, as well as opportunities for the citizens. One nice thing is that actually electricity bikes came us this autumn, and full start with them is in spring 2020. So that is the one big thing for the citizens. What else? I think it's important that residents are proud of the city. So we have also got international media visibility and that kind of things. Yeah.
Great. Now we have another question from the audience. So what would be the first step to take for a city to start working with circular economy in a concrete manner? So some concrete examples. And Satu unfortunately had to leave now, but we have Jenni Rahkonen from Lahti joining us and answering some questions. But maybe we will start with Jenni. So if you jump in the first question for you.
Yes, thank you. Straight to answer the questions. Nice to meet you all. Well, I think it from my own how I have been working when I started last year working for the Lahti. So I think the first step was that we are contacting all the different units and workers in the city, and also some workers in the companies and the municipal companies and all the other like stakeholders in the area, and start to talking what is going on and what should be working better, and how circular economy could be taken better into account in their actions. So I think the collaboration with all the different stakeholders would be the first concrete step to start with the circular economy. And then when we have all these actors, we know what they are doing and what actions should be done, then we can start to collaborate also with the citizens after we have some kind of idea what we want to do.
Thank you. Per-Arne, would you want to answer next? So what would be the first step to take?
Well, I think the first step, identify your biggest challenges and possibilities to do something concrete. If you should start somewhere, of course, we could say that you should do a plan or an action plan, but I think the question was to start with something for real, and then I think it's important to know your city and what is the challenges, but also what is the possibilities to do something about the situation. And that could maybe differ a little bit between cities because of what kind of system you have for taking care of waste, for example, and what kind of industry you have, or what kind of situation you have. In Malmö, some examples from our side, we have worked quite a lot with water-wise solutions, you could say. We use too much drinking water, and in the long term we have to use less drinking water for or have lowered the consumption of drinking water. Otherwise, we have to find other source for drinking water in the future, maybe. Another example we have worked quite a lot with is food, where it's also a lot of public awareness actions, and people are engaged in the food chain, doing different kind of activities. So that could be 2 examples from our side. Thank you.
Thank you, Per-Arne. And how about Ieva? What do you think?
That's my personal opinion, that everything should start from the very top. Without political vision and clear statement that we are going this direction, it's really hard to make things bottom up. Because I feel that in my project as well, when I began, we had another counselors working there, and okay, you can work, you can do what you need. They're not banning, but support was really low, I could say. Now we have new counselors, and they have stated really clearly what is our direction, and the support. You can't compare what comes how easy it is to work then when there is when it relates to the overall vision. And besides this political vision, there should be a clear steps, like we are showing with our actions. We are acting sustainably. We don't buy something what is not related to what we say, like practice what you preach. And then people will believe and will follow that. So everything starts with the vision, and then as Per-Arne said, or who said that cooperation with other stakeholders is needed to involve them, to listen to them. Maybe some of them are really willing to do something about it, but there are some pain points and struggling points you can help and work together. So yes, the vision, first steps, and then cooperation, and move forward, look for the first next steps.
Thank you, Eva. Then Niina.
Very good points from the previous speakers. I'd say it also depends on the city size and the structure of the region. And for example, in Turku, when we are the biggest city in our region, but still quite a small city. I mean, compared to some European cities, we really need the quite large regional aspect all the time. And because the city of Turku has very ambitious climate goals, we can motivate the others to do the work together with us. So I think that city had to have a strong leading role in this regional stakeholder coordination. But still, I think this coordination, yes, in our case, that has been the important concrete step. And also I think we, in the beginning, we made quite a lot of studies and research, for example, this material flow research, and also feasibility study to know who are the actors in our region, who are the potential actors, and then start cooperating and thinking what we should do. So that's I think now everyone is rather engaged to this, and then we can really move forward to action. That's, I think, our secret in here.
Thank you. Very inspirational and motivating answers. Now I guess our time is up for the questions. And Per-Arne, would you have any final words for us to say?
No, I thank you all for very interesting presentations and a good discussion about these issues. I think the part we are discussing today about resource efficient cities is really one of the big issues for the future in our region and our cities, but also globally. And I think that's one of the key actions also to reach the climate goals. So it's interesting to see that there's a lot of things going on, and I hope there will be even more cooperation in our region in the future, and that we learn from each other and steal good ideas from each other as well. So I thank you all for this, and hope you will have a good day in the sun or the eastern part of the Baltic Sea, I think.
Thank you, Per-Arne, and thank you all for joining. I would like to remind you that our next webinar is being held on 30th of November, so hope we will see you then. This webinar recording will be available on our website, which you can find from this final slide. Thank you all for participating.